All right, welcome back to the second hour of At the Round Table with MAMLEO. I'm your host, Larry Ellison, in studio with my brothers from another, to my right, the Rhodes Scholar. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
He's ready for carnival, man. He's all colorful.
Do you understand, like, the day, it's like the busiest party day? Yeah. Like, and it's so
I got
crazy.
some bed sheets that look like that.
Oh, man, that's brutal.
And to the right there, Dr. Bradley is in the house. Good morning, Doctor.
One of the things I loved about Carnival when I was a police officer is the food. The food was actually excellent.
You get some home cooked
food. Man.
Crabs, mangoes. Oh, my God. Yeah.
We're going to have to spend some of your money after the broadcast. All right. And good morning, Pastor Hobbs. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm well.
Good. And we want to thank our sponsor, The Money Store, for all your mortgage needs. Get branch manager Cora Horbuck or call it area code 508-345-4726. That's 508-345-4726 is the number there. Also, where am I looking? I'm looking for the what Pastor Hobbs sent me. The fish fry, yes, that's what I'm trying to find out. There we go. So there's a fish fry today at 33 Norwell Street. It's a fundraiser for the station here from 3 p.m. Today, Saturday. It doesn't have an end time, so they go by, grab that fish. They have shrimp. They're having lobster tails. You can get a combination plate. Again, that's 3 p.m. today. Fish fry. You're gonna be competing with Carnival, but but you're still gonna need the appetizer, right? Because that's by the time 3 o'clock they'll probably be all sold out. So stop by there, but more importantly, support the church here and the efforts here. With that said, we want to welcome our guests to the broadcast here. At-large counselor Frank Baker is on the line, and for those who aren't familiar with Frank, he was a former city councilor, a district councilor, and he's running at-large in this term. And let me say, for full disclosure, before folks start screaming and whatnot, I am supporting Councilor Frank Baker in his election bid for a laundry list of reasons. And one of them is why he left, because I understand how difficult it is there. But one thing you get from it is the truth. Good morning, Frank. How are you, sir?
Larry, how are you? Thanks for having me today.
It's great. I know you're out there campaigning today. Are you participating in the carnival today? Or are you?
I am. I'm gonna go down for the jump off and say hi to Miss Shirley, and just show my support. I have supported in various ways,
Yeah.
But I will be there at the beginning.
Okay. Well, I know you don't have much time with this month, so we're going to make the most of it. So, Frank, you were at a district council. What district did you represent prior to running now at large, and why the shift from the district to the at large?
Well, I represented District 3, which was from Lower Mills, run down south down Dorchester Ave, all the way into Andrew Square, Mary Ellen McCormick projects, and then into the south end, Lower Roxbury, the area of town known as Mass and Cass, Worcester Square in the south end. And I left because I was two things. I was sick and I was tired, Larry. I couldn't show up for the bell anymore. I had just been worn out. COVID did a number on me, and I had some long-term effects from COVID, and just felt like I couldn't represent my district in the way that it deserved the representation. So I took a couple years off and started looking at it as I went around the city. People would say to me, "We wish you didn't leave, would you run for something else?" And I wasn't really thinking that, but as I got feeling better and just saw what's happening in the city, and that's no disrespect to anybody, any person or anybody. I decided, I had a name that if I put my name on the ballot, I could win. At large, and at large is you go from representing in a district 75,000 people. At large, you represent 750,000 people. So when you represent more people, your voice becomes larger. You're able to advocate for more, for larger things, and can do better work and affect affect more lives, I guess. So I'm kind of drawn to it, Larry.
Mm-hmm.
I was like watching city council hearings like people watch the Super Bowl, so I couldn't stay out of it.
No, I know when I spoke with you when you were and you really decided at the 11th hour to run, because it wasn't something that you were planning on doing. I know you were in the private sector, and I had met with you with T. Michael on another matter, and you weren't sure whether or not you got in really at the last minute to do this. So clearly the passion there. I've been to some of the hearings that you've been at, and one thing I found with you, Frank, is that you know, some people might say to some disadvantage or whatever, that you're brutally honest about the situation, and that's why I'm wondering why someone like you would want to get back to this, because the city council for the most part just seems to be broken, right? There are a few people down there that I know I've worked with, like Julia, Ed, Aaron, you know, who I feel like they take it serious, and they get called out because they call things, people want to label them as racist for pointing out the obvious, like, you know, what's affecting communities across the city sometimes affects some more than others, and if you say it, then, you know, you're just putting people down, which is not the case, because it needs to be dealt with. It allows us to have an honest conversation with it. I have to be honest, because I look at most of them in the council, and I'm calling out the president, and I'm not asking you, this is not you saying it, but the current president of the council. It's like, what is it that she's done there that has been effective in moving along? Because, Frank, we still have a problem with the schools here, right? We're closing more schools, but we're increasing the budget, right? And I want to get your take on that. And also mass and cast, right? We're dispersing that across the city, but we're not fixing it. And also, I just learned Walgreens is closing 3 more stores here in the city, right? And they're in the communities that need medical supplies more than most. They don't have access with cars and to be able to get it. So you're coming back, and from what I'm looking at, it looks like you have a pretty good shot. What's the plan to address some of these issues that really are ailing the city?
Well, Larry, I think most importantly, the role of the city council is, you know, the way our governments are structured, from the feds to the state to the city. You know, it's executive branch and legislative branch, and the number one charge of a legislative branch is to be a balance or a check on that executive branch. So to be able to you know, ideally you're working with people, but if there's something that needs to be put in check, if there's something that needs to be called out, that's incumbent on that legislative branch to be, again, honest with the people and say, this isn't working right, and we have to change it. And if there's not independence there, and the ability to and maybe call out is the wrong term, but if there isn't an independence there to just kind of put a check on certain policies or procedures and things like that, then you're not doing your job. And I think one of the things that happened is we really went from a Boston-centered politic to very much a national, like we've got the national party at play in Boston, and I don't think that they really, you know, Boston's always been that outrigger in the way we do things, and we haven't always been perfect. But when you talk to people around the country, you know, our schools are better. You know, we seem to have a better quality of life around than other places around the country. Yeah. And now, when we're trying to be the same as everybody else, or to get in line with a certain party, I think you probably know the party we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, when it's just doing what the party wants. You've heard the expression "party over people." Yeah. Like, and it's all because, you know, the city council is being looked at as stepping stone. Right. You know, like when I first got elected into my office, I came out of the printing department. I was basically someone that worked for a living. I went into a manufacturing type environment, and I worked for a living. So when I became a city councilor, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I've done something that I never thought I would ever do. Right. You know, so So like I didn't think of, oh, I'm a city councilor. Let me in the first week that I'm elected start thinking about where else I can go.
Yeah.
No, I was elected to represent the people of District 3 and to do the best I could by whoever called my office, whether if they voted for me or not. The job is you're there to represent all the people, not just the people that vote for you. And that's part of the reason why we feel so divided here now. People don't feel like they're listened to.
Right.
If you're not someone there saying, "Oh, I totally agree with you 100% of the time," then you're not even going to listen to me.
Right.
And that's, one of the things that I ran into. I wasn't agreeing 100% of the time with the echo chamber that was the city council.
Right.
And you know what, Larry? I grew up. I'm in my 50s, so I grew up 70s, 80s, 90s, Dorchester. We nobody had anything, and it was relying on people and relying on other families, and that was you don't even realize it, but the richness we had when we didn't have any money, the richness we had in just people and community, that seems to be gone. So, you talked about the schools in Mass and Cass. Let me just touch on those a little bit here because I went off a little bit here.
No.
So the schools, we've got, we're down to something like we're in the 40,000 in enrollment here. So it's really time to take a serious look, like take the cards and throw them up in the air and say, okay, what are we going to do differently here? I was meeting with groups yesterday, and they were talking like, why aren't we in middle school showing kids how to do projects like, woodworking and different things like that, getting tools in kids' hands earlier. We have the other counties. Norfolk County has a Norfolk County Aggie. When I was a kid, I hated school. All I did was look out the window, but I was smart enough to be able to just do enough to pass, right? But I never wanted to be in that classroom. I was a boy. I wanted to be out. I wanted to be out running around. Let's do some things differently. Norfolk Aggie. Let's look at that. Let's look at a county-wide school where we can start getting kids out and learning differently, not just by on a computer or with books. We could do things differently with trades. We could do, every high school could have one trade. We could do electrical in Charlestown High like it used to be. The Burke could be plumbing and
the People's Academy, right?
Or what happened to Madison High School? Yeah. Madison High School used to be a vocational school.
So we could do so many things differently. And Mass and Cass, that was a manufactured problem down there. There were organizations, homeless organizations that handed tents out and told people, and a lot of the people were not from Boston. They were just floating all over the place, and they pointed down Mass Ave from Cambridge and said, go set up right here, right outside of their homeless shelter. And that's what happened, in I think it was April 21, the tents first started coming up. And we had, under previous administrations, we had started taking real measures to clean that up in a real way, not like, okay, take someone out of a tent and put them in a hotel room or put them in a senior development. Right. We were going to take them and put them into long-term treatment, up to a year, and then you start dealing with where you're going to be housed, what you're going to do for work. Like we can't be dealing with people that are in the throes of addiction, and we had talked about, and going back before this administration here, we were talking about robust Section 35 programming and things like that, and courtrooms. What did we call them? They were like a satellite courtroom down at Suffolk County to be able to help people get through their warrants and things like that. Like most of the people down there, if you've got 20 warrants, 19 of them are because of stupid things you did to steal, to get your drugs, to keep you high. So we need to be able to really get into this problem and not just coddle, not just hand out socks, needles, and crack pipes. We had, with Sheriff Tompkins, we had his former ICE building. We were going. I personally walked through with Suffolk Construction to go through and remove the bars and make it into a Section 35 program. Okay. But people on the left said, "Oh, that's taking their civil rights away." Well, what about the people in the South End that are having these people defecate on their front stairs having sex in their back lot.
Right.
It's not fair to anybody.
So Frank, I got a caller on the line for you. I want to let's squeeze them in. And good morning, caller. Welcome to the roundtable.
Good morning. I have 4 questions for Frank Baker. My first question is, if you get elected, are you going to find a way to lift the so many red tape and restrictions for black businesses to open up shop here in the city of Boston? That's my first question. My second question is, do you believe in having a term limit for the city councilors, meaning 2 term limits, 4 years, and that's it? My third question is, and I know you can't answer it, but just out of curiosity, how come the current mayor, Mayor Wu, is so reactive instead of being proactive when it comes to things that the city needs? And my fourth question is, what are you going to do, if any? Are you going to expand the home certificate program from 3 years to 6 years? Because someone who's low income, 3 years isn't enough time to get the information and the resources needed to get a home in the city of Boston.
Yeah, let me take those one at a time. The first question was around. I would take that as a permitting question and just allowing people, the ability to get in and open their businesses. I think that needs to be. I mean, we need to support communities more when they come into any place like ISD or special events, even something like a block party. The amount of paperwork that you need to do. So I would, and again, as a city councilor, I would only be able to advocate for these. Ultimately, the juice lies with the mayor. But things like ambassadors, to be able to help business ambassadors that help you through ISD and that paperwork. We need to make things more streamlined. Now, don't forget, the more rules, like some people get onto city council and they think, oh, I'm going to pass ordinances and change around city code. The more ordinance, the more rules we put in place, the more cumbersome the person trying to open up their business that it becomes. So I would want to have people that would specialize in permitting there as ambassadors, or they don't even need to specialize in them. We can train them into those roles and help business owners coming in get through those processes. Hopefully that answered that question. Yeah. 1, term limits. When I was first in the city council, I had filed legislation to go up to as a home rule petition to file for 4-year terms for city councils, but the 4-year terms were attached to 3 terms. So you could do 12 years, but you got 4 years. So I would be in favor of something like that. The third question was Wu being reactive to proactive. I don't really want to be critical on that. That seems to be a criticism that happens a lot with sitting administrations. I think it becomes part of leadership where you have to be in front of problems and not, like, how do I say this respectfully? You have to be in front of problems to be proactive and not surrounding yourself with people that if you're in an echo chamber, you're never going to hear any of the problems that are going on, and you're unable to address them. Right. So I think, I'll leave that at that. And the home ownership question is absolutely, I would do whatever I can to support those families. And because if you have the ability to buy the home in year 1, that should remain the same in year 4 or 5, and that's all about staying in contact with those people that would be in line for home ownership. But there's a lot more I think the city could do as far as, because the problem there is the inability to find that home. Yeah. I would like to really look at different ways of the way we're using our assets in the city of Boston, and our assets being, the empty lots that are in neighborhoods that are city lots, and also like the way we spend our money. A lot of our money goes to non-profit developers. That doesn't sound like something that should even exist, a non-profit developer. I think there's ways that if we engage the smaller local developers to help us through this problem. People that have skin in the game, I think, would be able to build more of those units directly for the people that are in those programs. We need to be much more concise on how we are building the units for the people that we're trying to support.
Right. Thank you.
So I hope I answered those four questions.
Yeah, we've got another call online. I want to get to them in a second, but let me just say this, caller. We already have term limits in the city of Boston. It's called voting. If you vote, you can limit their terms. People complain about they're not getting the services they need, but then they don't turn out to vote. So that's how you put in effect term limits. Caller, you there?
Yes, good morning. T. Michael Thomas from the People's Academy.
Good morning, T. Michael. How are you, sir?
Good morning.
You have a comment?
Yes, full disclosure. I'm bringing receipts to show and proof that Frank Baker, before, during as a counselor, when he took time off for a couple of years, has never stopped working with me, T. Michael, and the People's Academy to help low-wage, poor, and people living from paycheck to paycheck. I understand a lot of candidates run on and talk about the middle class, but this man, I can prove that he has never give up on helping us to build a trade school so that Boston residents could be employable, not just a job, a career. So this is why, full-heartedly, I always will support Frank Baker as the next sitting city councilor at large, one of the four.
All right.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, thank
Full
you.
disclosure.
Appreciate it. Hey, so also, Frank, I want to ask you, if you're reelected to the council, right? And I want to go back to the schools for a minute because I think that is an issue that doesn't get the attention. The state has been looking into whether or not they were taken into receivership. I haven't seen anything that says whether or not there's been any improvements on learning. I'm not even going to base it on test scores because I think that's just a snapshot. But would you request from the state or have the council request, where are we with our students and their learning abilities? Because it seems to have gotten lost and no one is giving that the attention that I think it deserves.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we absolutely excuse me, have to work with the state. When I was there, that there was threats of a state takeover. And I'd question if the state would have the ability to take over. But there is value. There is value in that. We have to go in and really start doing things differently. And as far as evaluation of kids, I think they have had an evaluation of kids, and I've heard like two stats that I've heard that are horrifying. It's about third graders. I've heard that 80% of third graders in BPS are not reading at a grade level, and I've heard that number when you go to math, numerics, goes up to like 84, not proficient in math. Third graders,
right? We're ignoring the problem.
Yeah, and back to the city council. How many hearings has the education committee had on that particular problem right there? Now, the schools, I think we have to really do like a all hands on deck sort of approach, because I think that our school buildings are failing us. We have probably under enrolled schools. Like we need to build multiple schools around the city that can handle kids. Enough kids. Maybe it's a bigger school or like sixth grade to high school. I know we're doing that now, but let's build state of the art schools. We've got AI coming at us, which is gonna take more jobs from people. Yeah. We have to really rethink the way we're doing things, right. and I just think that if we built some new schools and did some new program, literally change the way we're going about everything that we do in the schools. Well, see, I know that seems like a blanket statement.
No, it's not. I want to get Dr. Bradley to weigh in because he teaches at our colleges, and I'm looking at reading his body language, his facial expressions when we talk about the decline in the population and the students here. But also, Dr. Bradley, that they've eliminated the MCAS. That's going to go away, right? So we really won't have any. And I'm not saying that's the cure all, to be all. But it was the only way we could even that's the only reason why the numbers that Frank is putting out there, we've been able to capture those, because those were done independently. And now that there will be no system to judge whether or not we're actually teaching kids or we've turned the school system into a daycare, because the budget is the largest expenditure of the city's budget every year is on education. So if you were putting money into something and you wasn't getting a return, because the charter schools, that's for profit, and then the kids seem to be doing a little better. I don't know how much better, because they're a separate entity who's capturing that. What do you say to this? I mean, this is...
Well, first of all, I would say that I have a couple of hits on this. My first hit is that during the design of our school system, the daycare element was always a part of it. So that's how people begin to support it. All right, because we had to get people out to work. The second thing is, I liked what he said about thinking differently, because what I'm seeing is that we're teaching children to work for we're educating children to work in an industry that's not here any longer, because the industry is offshore. Right. All right, so we have to do things differently, and we're also teaching them in an environment that was created 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago. A lot of our school facilities are old, you see, and so I definitely think that we need to do things differently. Second of all, is that in every every society, there has to be a level of people who are the proletariats, the individual who are going to actually be the worker bees. You know what I'm saying? But the worker bees now have to be extremely more educated, because we're in a very sophisticated society. You talked about AI. Well, AI will come after all jobs eventually. Right. There's no, even the job that I have as a professor is going to come after those jobs. The problem is that AI is seeking information on an internet that has poor information about people that look like us. We wonder how that's going to happen. So my point here is that we have to think differently when we're educating a society, people that live in a very sophisticated society, a society that's no longer, girded by or predicated on industry. It's an informational age. Right. And so we're not creating people to work in an information environment. We're not educating people to do that. We're educating people to work in an industry that's no longer onshore.
Right. Great point. Frank, we know you have to go. Any closing remarks, or we're going to give you your pitch to our listening audience as to why folks should be voting for you on September 9th. It whittles down to 8, if I'm not mistaken, on September 9th in the primary. Frank Baker, at-large candidate for the City of Boston City Council. You have the floor, sir.
Well, Larry, first of all, thank you for having me on this forum here today, and thank you to your panel that's with you. Larry, I don't make any campaign promises. All that I see and notice around the city is people feel disconnected to what is City Hall. I think we need to get back into City Hall, back serving the people of Boston. We need to get our civic meetings up and running again, and we need to show up. We need to be in person to be able to build out what it is that is Boston. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to return calls. I'm going to work on job training, housing, education, and the crisis that is Mass and Cass, and it's not just Mass and Cass. It's all around the city now. We have to come up with some real solutions to that problem, and I look forward to doing that. And Larry, we shouldn't expect our politicians to tell us half truths all the time. Someone like me, that I'm not smart enough to tell half truths, because then I have to remember them all. So I have to just say what I'm saying that's in my heart, and that's how I remember the thing. So I don't, I'm never gonna change to be that politician that other people want me to be. I care about the city of Boston. I care about our people, and I want to do the right thing by them. And I think I can offer a voice in the city council. I think I can mentor some of the district councilors and support them in their efforts that they have going on around the city, and that's what I want to do. I want to play a leadership role, and I want to be a positive influence in Boston. It's time to bring back people-focused issues, and let's get away from the party. Let's let's focus on Boston, and that's what I want to do. So consider me on September 9th. I'm number 1 on the ballot, and then by extension, consider me in November after the primary election. So, Larry, I appreciate it, and thank you all for having me.
Thank you, and good luck on the campaign trail. That's Frank Baker, at-large city councilor. For the primary.
And we'll see you down at Carnival today.
Absolutely. And stop by at 33 Noel Street at 3 o'clock for the fundraiser for the Fish Friday. If you're in the area, stop by and grab something.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it.
Have a good day. Bye.
Good morning, caller. Welcome to the roundtable. I know it's Priscilla. She probably had a question for our guest, but we had a hard stop with him at the bottom of the hour. So you can ask us a question, and we'll let you know where you can get your fish.
Well, I know we'll get the fish. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. And he's going to be your guest. He's going to be your guest this week anyway. So
you know, I had a couple questions to ask Frank, but he's gone.
Well,
but I will ask him on Thursday when he comes on my show.
There we go. But so not to pivot from that, because we know you, and I was like, I know she's going to get an opportunity to do that. You know, we've been talking about quite a few issues here. One, the Boston and Common, but also the spike in the violence. Today is Carnival here in the city of Boston. Not only will we congested, the shutting down of pharmacies, like Walgreens is shutting 3, if not more, stores in our community. I know one is in your neighborhood. The other one is right down the street from here. The one in Codman Square. There used to be mom and pops around as a backup. They're no longer here because these folks ran them out of business, and now folks are going to be stuck. And this is why, like one of the callers was calling about term limits. I said, we already have term limits. We just don't exercise them. When people aren't doing the job, and this is what's mind-boggling to me, folks, is people complain that the elected officials are not representing them. How do they keep getting elected?
Because again,
exactly.
So I know there was a lot to throw out at you, Priscilla, but just want to get your take on some of those things, because it just defies logic that clearly that would be that they're doing a great job and they want them to keep going. I know. Unfortunately,
our people do not understand that the only time your vote don't count is when you don't cast it.
Yeah.
One of the, I have, I've done a lot of work in the city trying to bring up our youth with Marcus Anthony Hall Educational Institute, but I just get so frustrated around things like Franklin Park, White Stadium. I had a show with my sister last week, and she just basically try to give us a whole bunch of technical stuff. Read the 300-page report, and it's in there. But our children are suffering. Yeah. And the thing about it is that I'm not going to say no one cares, but it's just like there's things that we have asked for as citizens and residents of this city. Right. And we have not gotten. None of them started to speak about it.
Right. Well, the interesting part of what he said was he talked about, because people are complaining about what's happening in Washington, D.C., folks, right? About how the elected officials are just going along with what Donald Trump wants, right? But the city council here and the mayor Wu is trying to stack the deck even more so that Boston will operate. So I'm like, so why will we accept it here, but we complain when it's something not? This is no different. It's just done locally here.
Yes,
exactly, and that's why they say all politics are local. You got to start at home first before you can venture out.
That's
and
true.
I feel like it's a mess in DC, and it is trickling down to us. So some folks that really care about our community and can really help to make changes in our city, that is what we need. We need a change.
Yeah.
Some of our elected officials, but some of them ain't doing anything.
No. Priscilla, stand by for a second. I want to bring this other caller into the conversation. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the roundtable.
Yes, good morning. It's Michael again. I wanted to add something to what everyone's saying, that all this activity is going on, but in the black community, but most of the candidates aren't talking about one of our number one issues is economic opportunities. We're in $1 billion industry in the construction industry, and there is no talk. They're talking about liquor licenses. affordable housing. How could you afford a house if you don't have a good paying job or career?
Maybe the liquor license is so that we can numb the pain.
I'm sorry?
I said maybe they're getting a liquor license so we can numb the pain so we don't...
Right, and another thing, the person who championed that talked about that's a path to generational wealth, but the construction industry, which is $1 billion industry, is being pushed aside because People's Academy and T. Michael and his team is pushing that, which we know that's one of the main arteries to the middle class.
Well, no.
Look around our community. Sister Priscilla, when I joined you in the past, you advocated for good paying jobs. You had an issue, on which you still do, on their coming into our community, taking all the good jobs while we sit around and watch them. Well, not one of these candidates.
Well, no, T. Michael, let me interrupt you because I think T. Michael, let me interrupt. And then Rhodes has something he wants to say. You know, you and I were at the same meeting the other day, and as I called you, I said I'm glad to see you had confronted a city councilor for District 8, Sharon Durkin, and she was talking very happy about the construction going on in the city. But when you confronted her, and she had to admit that over 70% of these contracts are not going to people who live in the city, so they're coming in and they're taking that money. That's why they come in with trucks, because they need that to take the money out that they're getting
dump trucks,
right, from the taxpayers here. And that was an eye opener for a lot of the people in the room, right?
Correct. That's my point exactly. You're looking at the $664 million in city contracts, and less than 1% went to people of color and women. That's criminal.
Priscilla,
it should be.
It's been going on for a long time.
If our people voted and held the elected officials accountable, it would be criminal. Because that's something I think that was legislated, like, as part of the industry of, like, all the money that is being put into this.
But to that point, Joe Rhodes, do you think that's going to change? Because we are seeing, like, you know, when they had the shooting up on Charlotte Street the other day, the Code 99, and I saw them interviewing people in the neighborhood, right? It was a mixture of people. Like, you know, I wasn't expecting them to be showing as many Caucasian people in the neighborhood, but and that's not that they're not welcome, but it was like, you know, you would have never thought that you'd be interviewing people up there.
In our day, that wouldn't not have been the situation. All right, because of the demographic change in the city, you will see some changes because those people, I mean it in a negative way. I'm trying to be very positive here. Caucasian folks vote.
They do vote.
See, and that is the issue. We can sit here and articulate about what is going on, why we are not considered, why we're not making the money, why we're not represented on the job sites. But if we don't vote in a representative democracy, all you're doing, that's an exercise in futility. You're just wasting your time. All right? The problem here is that when you're looking, and you made it clear, Larry, you said when you were doing the polls, and I can, same with me, I did a poll over here when I was a cop. All right, very few black people came to the poll. I was like, why am I here? All right, and
didn't even pay for the overtime.
Exactly. So you know, we can talk about all these things, but we have to also recognize that we own this too. And how do we own it? We own it in our refusal to exercise the ballot.
Well, okay, it's not our refusal. It's, again, the historic nature of this country and how we've been treated at the ballot, to the point that people have gotten tired and fatigued. But you're right. They should still go out and vote.
Here's the other thing, right? The governor in Texas just signed into law a gerrymandered bill to disenfranchise black people.
He should be voted out.
Right. But here's the thing. If your vote didn't count, if it didn't matter,
they wouldn't do that.
Exactly. To make sure that you don't.
So as a historian, I would like to acknowledge that he's absolutely right. Over time, throughout the history, there was a fight after the Civil War. The issue was, how do we not only reconstruct the South, but how do we incorporate black people? How do we actually, do we give them suffrage?
Right.
Meaning voting, and if we do, are we going to limit it to the people who are educated, or the one who's actually working in the field and don't even know how to speak? That was an issue, but that was years ago. Now we have it.
Yes.
All right, now people have fought for it
and died
for it, but we still don't exercise it.
All right,
so that's my point.
So Priscilla,
no, I agree.
How do we change? Because we I know Priscilla, you talk about it on your show. Matter of fact, folks, you want to tune in on Thursdays at 9 a.m. The People Power with Priscilla. She is the people and she has the power. How do we get people? I know Priscilla, you and I talk every day, multiple times a day. Some days, right? Other than my wife, she's the only other woman I speak to, other than my girls, every day.
I was gonna say, Doggy, but
that's why I said let me disclaimer.
Because it's very quick.
The other woman, Priscilla.
We're trying. We're trying. With this Boston in Common, with the United Communities, with the Black Agenda Coalition. It just seems like we can't get it together. I don't know.
Let me just ask you this, because I think you understand this better than most. I know Dr. Bradley, Rose, myself, Pastor Hobbs. I think people, what they do is they identify someone who is doing it, and then they just abandon you. They figure you're going to do it all for them, and then they'll come in and benefit from the work that you do. Is that because I see you tirelessly out there every day, and then all you're asking people is to support something that will uplift them. The same thing with T. Michael, right? Trying to get the People's Academy. You guys are trying to do that. We tried to do that with MAMLEO, with this radio station, right? Trying to get people to benefit so that they don't hear silence like people this morning, because we had a lot of calls. It's like, I can't get through on the lines. Guess what, folks? If you don't support it, there won't be any lines to get through.
Exactly. And I just want to do a shout out to T. Michael too, because I took my youth up to his spot last week, and they were so amazed at the work that T. Michael was doing. And so we have to promote and support our own, because nobody else is going to do it for us.
Well, I'll just say we have in the past. Okay, remember we had Rosewood, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well, the thing is too,
Wilmington,
Brother
South
Rose,
Carolina. Like again,
that because the other side would not allow us into their places?
Yes.
So now we want to belong,
and now they won't allow us to have it. So no matter what, whether we had our own communities, when we had our own economies, and we just supported each other, no matter what, they came in and destroyed it, either through redistricting, redlining, or putting a highway through the communities. All these communities that were thriving,
and that's why we have to. That's why we have to really at who we're putting in office.
But that doesn't seem. But this is what I'm saying. We have an election. There will be more people out today partying at Carnival than will show up in the city of Boston, right? If we could just get
all the people that go to Carnival to go vote booths right there.
Right.
No, actually, what we should do is that we should use now an opportunity to educate our people on the importance of voting. We should we should have a voting registration table at those events every so often, and we should have the ones who will listen. We should have a conversation while they're registering as to the importance of the next step is showing up to do it.
And they get told, why do you think that the Orange Man wants to remove history of black people from the Smithsonian?
Exactly. I mean, Rose make a very good point, because
history like that.
Desegregation in America was a hostile takeover, because when we had segregation, what we had was a community of people who were working with each other, who dollar would flip over 30 or 40 times
within the community.
But once you have desegregation, that's a hostile, because now they can't control us. You see, so the point is that we got to realize that the game is, if you don't get out and vote, you can't even begin to talk about what they're not doing.
But I also want to point out another similarity as far as like the economic takeover. It's like,
don't get me going, man. I'm sorry, brother.
No, but think about, again, it's a system, and it's a way, like, again, if they're playing the long game. We think when they're playing checkers, they're playing chess. Because if you look at like the economy in many like third world countries, not third world countries, but like the Caribbean countries that make deals with China and Asian countries, they come in and they say, okay, we have the rights to this land or whatever. They get a corrupt government or whatever, and they get a terrible deal for the people. It's a great deal for them. But when they get those little slots of land, instead of hiring people right there in the island, Jamaica, Haiti, DR, they import other Asian people, to start working there and building their economy. The money goes back to their country.
It goes to
so the same thing that they do.
Was something that Dr. Bradley said earlier is that Trump is trying to take us back to an era that is not coming back. Right? We're not going to have assembly lines. We're not going to have that.
We're not.
You know, in trying to rewrite a whitewash, and no pun intended, whitewash history, it's not going to work because you can go and find it anywhere now, but a lot of people won't research because just imagine, and I tell people, pay attention because this is what I respect about the Jewish community. They always say never again, and they mean it, right? So that's why they have these memorials, right? Imagine if Donald Trump would have got up there and say, the Jewish people talk too much about what has happened to them with the Holocaust, and they should just get over it, right? They would be outraged.
Shut down the next day.
But guess what? If that is successful with erasing black, you think that's not coming next? Like I tell people, they start with what they think is the weakest. Just like with immigration, right? They said, "Oh, we're only going after criminals." No, you didn't go after criminals. They're grabbing everybody. Now people say, "Wait a minute, I voted for this guy. Why is he coming for me?" Because that's what happens when you do that. When you want to wish it on someone else, it comes back to smack you in the face, right? So, T-Mike, before we let you go, brother, anything coming up that folks should be aware of with the people?
Yes, I have to make this closing statement. It's important that here is an opportunity to send out a clear message to the incumbents and the candidates. The People's Academy is on a path of building the first school opportunity center so that our kids and our kids' kids could benefit. The mayor has already proven and said she's not in favor of it. Let God's people go. Allow us to live, not just survive.
But to that point,
let us pull ourselves up by our own.
But let me just say this, and I'm gonna let Priscilla jump in. So the mayor has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in White Stadium, which is not going to uplift our community whatsoever. But something like the People's Academy, they want no part of it. So we folks, there is an election. The mayor is not on the ballot in September because she is on the ballot. I'm sorry, because there is a primary for the mayor's office as well. So you have an opportunity to voice with your vote what you think is not, if this is not working for you. But if you endorse it and say, hey, we want more of it, then you have no one to blame but yourself, because they give you an opportunity every 4 years to decide whether or not what's happening is working for you. They want to build the White Stadium. They don't want to build the People's Academy. You figure it out. And it's not rocket science. If we can figure it out here, we have a PhD and we have some intelligent brothers here, but you don't need one to figure out why she's supporting one over the other.
That's right.
It's very simple, because of who it's going to benefit.
That's right.
Not us.
No. T. Michael?
I just want to remind you, can I just throw out, every Monday from 4:30 to 6 p.m., the Franklin Cops Defenders will be holding a rally at Cedar Street and Walnut Ave, right there at the front of.
And Priscilla, do you want to invite? I know you're doing some, because I don't want to put it out there. If it's the other thing that you're doing, are you trying to bring more people into that, or the event you have on Thursdays?
Oh yeah, but I do. So every Thursday we're working on creating the Black Agenda. It's the Black Agenda Coalition, and we're working. And it's at Torchlight at 2 Washington Street in the back of Torchlight. And we're trying to bring folks together. We plan on having a meeting September 3rd at Roxbury Community College to really put the issues out to these candidates. I just don't understand. First of all, I don't understand why 11 people are running for District 7. I just don't understand.
You know why? Because they need a job.
Why we can't come together? I know everybody has the right to run. I believe that. But if you're running, I don't know if you get your name out there, because there's no way 11 people are going to get one seat. So why couldn't you get...
It's called musical chairs.
Huh?
That was just a bad joke. I said it was called musical chairs.
What he was going to say is they're hoping that... Yes, go ahead.
Yes. What I want to say is both your interests support the People's Academy. great show, and I will be listening.
Thanks, yeah.
But I think it's a sad commentary that Priscilla made on how we can't come together and decide who would be best for the community in that seat. When we have 11 people running for one seat, I think it is absolutely ridiculous, because that's 11 separate pieces of support that are going in all different directions that we can't come together and actually
and to that
support
point,
one
Dr.
individual.
Valley, it divides, because if your person doesn't win, you're not most likely going to turn around and support any of the other. If you're one of the 10,
divide and conquer.
because it narrows down to 2. So
And that is why I just to go back to the last hour when we talked about, or earlier this hour, when we talked about the young lady who was actually doing the common communities thing. This is when I said that I see this as a very good
The Boston
political,
Common?
a political pact where you can have one group of people identify this person is the best for us. Let's all galvanize our resources, come together and unite our support and get behind this individual.
And Dr. Bradley,
Boston Common?
Boston in Common. Here's some breaking news. That's how it used to work. That's how we had Senator Owens and Senator Wilkinson and the Bowlings and all that, and the Yanceys, because we got the people who had our interest, and they had to prove that's what they were doing, not just because they just wanted to have a job. That's why when you were proud when you saw Billy Celeste, because the community chose Billy Celeste to be the leader in the police department.
But if I have 11 people, and just think about this now, I'm one of the 1%ers, and I'm not as melanin as I am as before you. I'm on the 1% with no melanin. And now I'm trying to control the situation. I see 11 people in the crab barrel going at one position. I'm not worrying about you.
Right.
Because you're never going to get anywhere.
Exactly.
Why? Because you're not united enough to actually identify one individual who will actually be the best one to actually fight against what I'm trying to do.
And to your point, right, is that now what happens, right? If they got behind one person and they went there with 30,000 votes instead of 600 votes, right?
There you go.
It's a referendum.
Now I got to listen to
It's a movement. It's not a moment. It's a movement.
Right.
So what Priscilla said is deep. It's really deep as relates to our community, and why our community is not seeing any progress, because every time there's an election cycle, we have this issue.
The fragmented.
So Priscilla, we're going to change your book to I look back and wonder how I got over it, and we're just going to add and me too. Priscilla, hold on. We're going to grab this call right quick because we got about 2 minutes. Call it quickly. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
It's so good to hear you guys.
Likewise.
You guys sound great this morning, and I like your the concept.
Yeah, appreciate it.
But
it's been a while.
I was just calling to.
Good.
I'm fine.
Yep. Good.
I wasn't expecting to be on the air.
You wasn't expecting us to be on the air?
No, he was.
I wasn't expecting me to be on the air.
Okay, I thought you called to be on the air. Okay.
No, I was calling to ask Pastor Hobbs a question.
Oh, okay. Well, he'll grab you. Oh, okay. He'll grab you back then. All right. So, Priscilla, you got the last minute here before we go. And
Say Frank Baker will be on my show this Thursday, live and in person.
okay.
Listen, folks, I haven't decided if I'm going out to the carnival, but if I do, I'm going with voter registration.
There
because
we go.
That's the way it should be. That's definitely.
Right. Other than that, it's a waste of time.
yeah, because I mean, if we could just get all the people that come to carnival.
And not only that, if you're hungry, right, rather than go there, go over to 33 Norwell Street, the fish fry today as a fundraiser, right? That's going to
Fish,
play more
shrimp,
of an impact. Lobster tail. That's going to be having more of an impact in helping our community, helping keeping this radio station on the air, right, than going up to carnival. I'm not saying you shouldn't support that, but this is something that is not one day. This is something that's lasting and something we're going to need.
Is that we definitely don't need this radio station, and I promote it as much as I can. And we just really, our folks need to wake up and listen.
We lost WLD, we lost BET,
Exactly. So again, thank you, Sister Priscilla. People Power Priscilla heard every Thursday from 9 to 10 a.m. here in the same chair on Boston Praise Radio and live.
And remember, we are the people.
We are the power.
Thank you, Priscilla. Appreciate you. All right. Again, folks, reminder.
Wait, shouldn't Dr. Bradley sign us out?
No, I got to give out the fish fry first, and then I'm going to listen. I got a pecking order here. Okay. You want to do the fish fry?
I am going to.
Reminder, the fundraiser fish fry for the Boston Praise Radio. That's at 33 Noel Street today, Saturday, August 23rd, at 3 p.m. until. So stop by and support a worthy cause. Dr. Bradley.
Be blessed.
All right.
Amen.
I wrote 300 songs in 1 year. Boogie will tell you I'm on it. I got unreleased songs for days, they don't want it. Eat any MC in the game. It ain't a challenge if your music reflects who you are, then use a coward. I can see through the lies you ain't living what you spitting. If your money's so long, why your dog's in prison? Why your baby mom's stripping, why your mom's still living in that same broken home that you used to sell piffin'. You ain't gotta lie to me to sell me a track. You ain't gotta rock fake jewels or walk around strapped. I respect artists getting money, but love them for spitting crack. And the fact that one track can move a family out the trap. It's a dream for us lost souls brought up in the mix. I'm motivated by the artists coming out in my midst. And the artists that paved the way when I didn't exist. Music's a skyscraper, I'm just trying to add a couple bricks.
This is for the dreamers. They say I am a dreamer. Cause I still believe that anything is possible as long as you work hard. Hustle real hard, hustle real hard. Hustle real hard, hustle so if I never see ya, never get the chance to meet ya. No, I came up from the bottom, always rooting for the underdog. Hustle real hard, hustle real hard, hustle real hard. I always